my religion, my faith was my grandfather's faith and my dad and mom's faith. It wasn't mine.
Wow.
And I didn't really have a relationship with Christ, I think. First car, it's a long story. 1966 Chevy 2 Super Sport. Mom and Dad would never have let me buy it, but I had saved $1,200.
Wow.
From
Isn't that a dream?
working in tobacco. And I talked my grandpa into taking me up to above Johnson City to see it. I saw it advertised in the newspaper. And absolutely fell in love with it. I can still see it sitting there in that yard today. The guy that I bought it from, he got killed in Vietnam. Had bought it and then drove it for a year or two and then went to Vietnam. So it sat in his garage for several years. And
it's a real life Private Malone story.
His mom and dad decided to sell it, and I talked my grandpa into taking me to get it. And
That's
I love
awesome.
that car.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So that was a cool drive when you left in that thing. You felt like something, didn't you?
16 years old.
And you left it really stock like you bought it, right?
No, I didn't. I spent every penny I had on that car.
Making changes to it. That's cool. That's cool. All right, Pat, you're up.
Let's see, I was 17. I didn't get a car at 16 like he did. Since
You
he
weren't
was
cool.
He was the older brother. They learned lessons when they got to be. I think I was 17. It was a 1976 Honda Civic, about that big.
Man, that's awesome.
It's about the size of a Pepsi can.
That's awesome.
How tall were you?
I was actually short. When I was 16, I was 5'5", 100 pounds.
That's wild.
So I fit in it fine, but it was pretty small. Just me and an engine. But it was okay because I ran it into several things. Several times.
Durability test, huh?
Yeah, it didn't make it too long. I think the second or third time he had to pull me out of the ditch, and I left half my front axle in the ditch.
Oh, man.
That was kind of the end of the powder blue 1976 Honda Civic hatchback.
That's cool. I didn't know they made a Civic in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
I made at least one.
They're rare, man. They're out there.
That's too cool. You were a cool kid before. I mean, you were. Now, who would have thunk that? Fast forward all these years. That Honda. That's what you want now. It's a Honda Civic.
Honda Civic's a good car.
They did exactly look the same.
Yeah.
He had the sports car in the family, and I had the
fuel efficient car.
Honda Civic.
But
yes.
you got 50 miles to the gallon or whatever, probably.
Close.
When it wasn't in the ditch.
If you ask Harlan Arnold, I drove up Arnold Road a lot, and Harlan we go to Churchville, lived at the end, and he said he could hear me coming down that straightaway. I was winding it out pretty good.
They could hear me coming for a different reason.
Yes, they could.
That's too funny. Well, I was, I guess you could say, given my first car. I didn't work in tobacco, Mike, but I was blessed to have been given the 4Runner by my Uncle Chris. He gave it to my dad, and my dad gave it to me. So he had a car at the time, and man, I loved that car. I mean, it was a little SUV, and so I could carry my friends around, but I wasn't driving a minivan.
Right.
So, my car was always the car everybody wanted to go on the road trips in and wanted to ride to school in, and because we could all ride together, and was pretty stock, but I had two 12s in the back, so had all the bass you need.
Yeah.
And
What year was the
98.
Is a 98 4Runner?
Yeah,
Those
and
are nice.
I drove it. I had my first job of delivering pizza, and the first time I really remember getting lost, I had pulled over on the side of the road, and GPS was a thing, but it wasn't great. And I was trying to fidget with my little GPS, and I pulled over, and I took my foot off the brake as I'm trying to type this address in, and I literally start rolling this whole time, and I roll right into a telephone pole. and busted up the front end, the glass, all that stuff, put a big dent in it. So it was
I
kind of
bet
a fun.
you were wondering what just happened because you're just
Yeah.
like sitting there thinking you're stopped.
It banged me up pretty good too, man. I'm telling you.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Well, how fast was you going?
Probably like 10.
My
But,
goodness.
Oh, man.
But still, like my knee ended up
Oh, well, sure.
jolting into the dash, and it cut my knee. I had to leave work, and I didn't need a stitch or anything, but it bled pretty good though.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, always
my-
put the car in park.
My first car technically was a 93 Mitsubishi 3000 GT, 3GT. And I traded and traded dirt bikes until I finally had one nice enough I could trade for a car. I guess I was between 16 and 17. I drove it for a little while. And then what I consider my first car was a 1986 Toyota Supra. And I pushed it and drove it some and pushed it some more. But that was mine. If we ask Ian how many cars he's had,
Oh, Lord.
we'd have to
We'll be here all
dedicate
day.
the whole episode to it.
Lord of mercy.
What was your first car?
My first car, I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
8.
Dad and Papa went together and bought me a 1973 Volkswagen Super Beetle. It was yellow. That thing was so nice.
Drove it around the field.
Drove it around the field, drove it around on the mountain, you know. And then just started trading. And I think I had 20 cars by the time I was 18. I traded around.
That sounds about right.
Wow.
What was
Yeah,
the first one you were able to drive on the road legally?
It's 1979 Ford F-150.
That was the first one?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. You come pick me up when you got
Yeah.
your license.
Black and white.
That was cool.
Yeah, man.
Nice truck.
Oh, that was really nice.
I've had a lot.
Four
Yeah.
speed.
4-speed, 306, 4-wheel drive, short bed.
It had a
Lifted.
flatbed.
Had aluminum flatbed.
Aluminum flatbed on
It
it.
was nice.
That was a nice truck.
Sure you-
I wish you still had that thing.
Sure, you
Yes.
didn't drive the Super Beetle on the road when you were 8. I'm not so sure.
I on the back roads. I will admit that. Dad let me drive it on the back roads. That was fun.
I believe it.
That's awesome.
We were just, not barely into high school, and we'd go up there on his grandfather's land, the mountain up there, and it had roads all over the place. And we go up there and just get in something, start it up, and
Yeah.
take off in it.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Box
yeah.
trucks and
Whatever.
minivans, whatever was up there.
Yeah, he's the same as me. Just trade around.
That was fun. That was fun. If we wasn't working, we wasn't mowing grass or weed eating banks. We was playing,
Was playing.
cutting wood. Oh, I hated cutting wood up there. We was always having to go up there and split all that wood.
Yes, sir.
He dropped 3 trees or something, and here we go. And
Splitting and stacking.
see, his
Splitting and
dad
stacking.
wouldn't tell us what we're doing. He'd just say we had some errands to run or something. We go to the mountain. We're like, okay, we're going to the mountain for something. Then we go. You keep going. You go up. What is it? The flat? Is that what
Yeah.
you called that?
Yeah.
And you'd see them trees down. And I'm like, oh
Y'all were slow learners,
Oh
weren't you?
no, yeah, we didn't figure that. It took a little bit to figure that out. I think we've told the story before, but the funniest thing with your papa, I still think, is when we went and was weed eating that bank, and
Well, it was a bunch of banks, but yeah.
but that time you ran out of string,
Yeah.
and we were like, well, it was a Saturday. We said, well, we'll just
I was wore out.
we'll just go on. Let's go get something to eat and just go on. We're done. We're out of string, and we was trying to get away from his papa because his papa wasn't going to handle that. And so we left and we went down the road to this little mom and pop diner. And we got there and we looked and we're like, man, that Isuzu rodeo looks familiar. And then we went on in anyways, and there sat his papa in there eating. I was like, what are you boys doing? You're supposed to be working.
Yep, there we go.
Here it was. He said, well, we ran out of string. And he said, well, they can go to the store and get more string. I might have some in the back of the
Yeah,
truck. And
yeah.
we're like, oh, no.
Excuses.
You were caught.
But he bought our lunch, and I guess he felt sorry for us. He let us go.
Let's go. That was a shocker.
It's a miracle. You got your $10 and left. About all
Yes,
you was
sir.
worse.
Yeah, $20 a day.
I've got a good story about Pat if you want to.
Go
If we
for
got
it.
time for it.
Yeah. He's like, oh, no. What is it?
I think we're out of time.
I started driving my car to school and stopped riding the bus when I was probably late junior year, and I think it was early in the fall of my senior year. I finally got up enough nerve to ask my girlfriend if I could take her home after school.
You have to describe the car, too.
Well,
It wasn't the Chevy, too.
it wasn't. I think that's my grandpa's car, wasn't
The
it?
big, about the size of this garage.
Big Pontiac Bonneville. But anyway, Pat had a bicycle wreck at some point, a month or two or so before that. He had broken his front tooth out, and he had a big chrome cap, and that's all you could see when he opened his mouth was this big chrome tooth.
At least that big.
And he was in first grade, and I was a senior. And I talked started in to let me take her home from school that day. Walked her down around the back of the school, down to where we parked, and got to the car and opened the door to let her in, and there sat Pat. and all I could see was that big chrome tooth looking up at me, and that I was furious. Out, get this is not going to work. Get out of the car. You're not riding home with me.
You got any pictures of that chrome tooth?
Actually, sort of.
No, he doesn't.
It doesn't exist.
No.
It never happened.
Destroyed in the flood.
Anyway, I was ready to kick him out, but the school bus went by on the way home, so he had no way home.
I was an obedient child. My mama told me I could ride home with you that day.
That's
She
what
apparently forgot to tell you.
that didn't mean anything to me at all. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But Starlet talked me into to not kicking him out.
Oh, wow.
So we put him in the back seat, and I put her in the car, and I drove her home that day.
The best part was he was attempting to forcefully remove me from the car.
I believe that.
I believe
There
it.
goes the bus. So I have no other way home. So,
Yeah.
great timing.
Have you?
Starlet saved you. but the rest of the story, I got him back. It was in the 1990s.
1994.
1994.
Pat remembers it.
He grew up.
They know the year.
He grew up, and he and Ange got married, and we were living in Cincinnati at the time. So Starlet and I drove home to the wedding, and after the wedding, he was driving a Bronco.
Bronco 2.
Okay, so he had this Bronco, and it was completely full of balloons. You know, the whole interior was all full of balloons. I got me a piece of aluminum foil and made me a chrome tooth.
Oh, God.
And
man.
I crawled in the back of that Bronco and got back in there and hid behind all those balloons. And when he brought her out after the wedding, and they were getting ready to go on their honeymoon, here they come. I could see them, and he opened the door for Angie and put her in the Bronco. And then he went around to get in the driver's side, I guess. Angie was looking up at the mirror, working on her hair or something.
Yeah.
And I sort of parted the balloons and grinned really big at that big chrome tooth. She screamed bloody murder. We're running out of the
Oh, man, I
Bronco.
didn't know that. That's awesome.
That's a great story.
That was a good one.
So you can tell my brother has been a thorn in my side for most of my life.
Have y'all seen that movie The Blind? It's the Phil Robertson.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, you guys should watch it. It's really good. A scene is depicted almost perfectly of that with Phil, with Miss Kay, and Cy. Cy, crashed their first date, and he jumped in the back, and he went along with them in the back of the car, and Phil was like, Cy, get out of my car. It was funny. It's a good movie.
I was just being an obedient child, like my mama told me to do. I had nothing to do with all that.
There is a picture in his wedding album of that of me and the chrome tooth.
There used to be a picture.
That's $1 million. That's $1 million picture. That's funny. You remember it's the year you got.
It's the year I got
You
married,
got
so
married.
it's
So
Good year, man. Good year.
Burned in my
94.
Took me a long
So when you
time
were
to
born?
get.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thought of. I was born in 98. I'm a 98 model.
Took me a long time to get back at him, but I did.
That's funny.
That's revenge.
And he knew
I mean,
exactly-
It's a long time to hold that one in there.
He knew exactly what you knew exactly what he was talking about when that happened.
Oh
too.
yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
We ready to get started?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the Bearded Brothers podcast, where the beards are real and the conversations are even realer. I'm excited to bring you in this time. We have Mike and Pat Tester joining us for another double guest episode. Come on. I could have done the horn, but I wasn't ready for it. On this episode, we're going to talk about the history of this area. We're going to talk about growing up and going to church at Embreeville and the community and all these things. Good first, what we call that? First person stories, eyewitness stories. And
Yeah.
I'm interested to learn. Curious.
We were there.
We have
You
old
were
people.
there.
Old people are here. Some really old and some kind of old.
Oh, man.
Is it Cody Johnson that sings the song "You Should Have Seen It in Color"?
I don't know.
You ever heard
Johnson.
it?
I think
Who is it?
Jamie Johnson.
Jamie
I
Johnson.
know that song. But I
Oh,
don't
it's
know the
so
artist.
good. But I imagine there'll be some stories that
Yeah.
go along that line.
They probably were black and white for a while back.
You know, what's funny is when I was a kid, this is so stupid, people are going to laugh at me. But when I was a kid, I thought like back in the day, that's what people saw was black and white.
Yeah.
And then it was like sometime they invented color vision.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Stupid. and I'm not the only person I've seen online. There's a lot of people that
Right.
used to feel that way. But
Right.
anyway, so Mike, I'm assuming by the stories we've already heard that you're the oldest,
Almost 10 years.
10 years older. Okay. So how many siblings total is there? Is it just you two or?
We actually had an older brother.
Okay.
Who died in childbirth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
So it's just you guys pretty much the whole time.
I was technically the middle child, but I guess I'm the older brother.
Right.
There's two Tester brothers are probably enough.
You were enough.
Yeah, I was. Like,
He
that
was
the
enough.
end.
You, not Mike, just you.
You can tell what he thought of me.
He's always my little brother.
Yeah.
He's always been that because there was so much distance, so much difference between us.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we had two different childhood experiences growing up.
Yeah.
Probably. I was a child of the 50s and early 60s, and he was a child of the 60s and the early 70s.
Mm.
So big difference in those
So
years.
what year were you born?
53.
53? Okay.
He was
Way older.
born. He was born 62.
Okay. Cool.
So Mike was a little bit more, you would say, well, I'm sure you both did some farming, but what did that look like? You already mentioned tobacco. Did your family do tobacco?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both farmed, but the farming gene took to him better than it did me. It interfered with my baseball and basketball playing, so I didn't much care for the farming. But we both farmed.
Yeah. It was an outdoor life. We obviously had a lot of chores to
Yeah.
do on the farm. We had cattle and had a horse, and we had chickens and pigs. And when I was small and got big enough to carry a bucket, that was my responsibility, was to feed the cows and feed the chickens and gather the eggs and feed the pigs and chop out the garden and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We had a lot of friends in the community. I mean, I guess technically we're both baby boomers,
Yeah.
but I was early in the baby boom generation, and there was probably 30, maybe more than that. I'd say maybe 35 boys that were right around my age in that little community around the church. And we were a pack of boys.
Into everything.
Yeah, I would get them to help me do the chores. Daddy would always leave a list of things to do while he went to work for me to do while they were going to work. I always got the guys to help me so we could get the work done quick, and then we could go
Play.
run around the community and ride our bikes and play ball. And
What'd your dad do for work?
He worked during that time, I think, early at Klopman Mills in Johnson City, and then he went to work in Irwin at Nuclear Fuel Services.
Okay. Wow.
All your neighborhood buddies had interesting nicknames too.
They did, and they still have those nicknames today.
And some of these guys, I assume, go to ECC.
Couple
of them do, not the ones with the nicknames.
Okay, all right.
Jackie Bailey.
Jackie Bailey,
Vernique was in the community.
Terry Tittle.
Terry Tittle.
Wow.
But the nicknames, a lot of the guys were, let's see, Monk and
Hare,
Hare was one of them.
Bird,
Tender,
Bird.
Is all like not quite all single digit names, but
Easy to pronounce.
Monk. I forgot Monk.
Short enough you could holler it across the baseball field and they know who you're calling for, right?
Yeah.
One syllable names.
We had a kind of, I guess it was the community. The church was kind of the community center. Honestly, it was right in the middle of the community anyway. But there was a big field right where your house is, Matt. Now, behind the old church building, and that was where we played baseball and football, and dodgeball, and hoopie hide and tag and.
You might have to tell them what hoopie hide
Yeah,
is.
that I was going to say.
Hoopie hide, never heard
Never
of
heard of that
Never heard
one.
of Hoopie Hide.
It's hide and go seek.
Okay.
Okay.
Hoopie hide.
There you go.
I'm gonna start calling
At
it
some
that.
point, they rebranded it.
He wouldn't let little brothers play very often either. They
Oh,
tortured
man.
me. So
Somewhere along the line, Dad paved the driveway. We lived in a little white house right across from the church, and put up a basketball goal and a big light, and we played ball all well into the night every night. It was all the kids in the community were there,
Wow.
and
That's
Pat
awesome.
was in the way. He was riding his tricycle, around on the basketball court.
good to be loved.
I remember you telling us a story, Mike, at Hardy's one morning about Pat getting into some model cars or something that you had.
Oh my!
Is this like tell stories on me? I mean,
Well, you gotta have something to back up.
do I get a chance?
He probably has his version of this, but I love to build model cars. There was an Autorama in Irwin, and they still have a car show in Irwin every year. But the Irwin Autorama also had a model car show associated with it, and I would build model cars for weeks and weeks, painted them in great detail, and I put little thread on the motor for the spark plug wires, and just had a lot of effort, a lot of detail. And I had them stored in this cabinet in the basement, upright wooden white cabinet, as I recall. And we heard a big crash one evening. Mom and Dad and I went running to the basement, and Pat was laying on the floor under the cabinet in about 1 million model car pieces.
No.
Well, the problem was
The cabinet was too
I
high.
had a little basketball and a goal, like a Nerf hoop, but it was a rubber basketball.
Yeah.
And it wound up on top of the white cabinet. And when you're 2 foot tall, it's hard to get to the top of the white cabinet. So I climbed up the front as far as I could, and then the cabinet and I both went backwards. And I had to go to the hospital. I think they thought I had a concussion. I think that's the only time I've been in the hospital in my life. But
Really?
that didn't stir him at all. He was really concerned about the cars.
I could have killed him.
You was hoping he'd die.
I don't think he didn't come to see me. I mean, I don't think I was on his list of things to do except put the model cars back
That
there.
was the last thing I was worried about. I didn't even see him laying there. It was just all those broken up model cars that I had spent so much time on.
Laying in a hospital bed, just laying there, nothing.
Oh man, that is hilarious.
It's all right. It's all right. You can tell I was loved as a child.
Yeah, it sounds like he was neglected so far.
I was. It was a tough life. It was rough. The best part was he got married when I was about 9, I guess. So he moved out, so I had kind of the house to myself. So that was great for me.
Made up for it.
It made up for it. But, I had to overcome those torturous memories there that he gave to me.
PTSD.
9
Yeah,
years
PTSD.
of 9 years of misery.
It was tough, but he tortured me and
your blankie at night.
wanted to kill me. And Mom and Dad had to step in and keep him from hurting me. And I was a little guy. He was a grown man, so probably stunted my growth. That's probably why I was 5'5", 100 pounds when I was 16 years old.
Oh, man, it got
So-
short.
Because he was like this, holding you
yeah.
down.
Tough.
Probably took my food at supper too. Probably if I'm betting.
Yeah.
Pat, tough times makes tough people.
I've heard that song. I think so. But I finally did start growing after he moved out. I guess I got some food at the table. We had enough to go around.
Well, it was like Clifford. Your mom and dad started to love you, and a little bit more, and all that love just grew your body double size.
That's finally what happened. But
Oh man,
That's
was funny.
It was a fun time. I mean, like you said, all the guys in the community. It was weird. We had mostly all guys in the community.
Oh, yeah.
Very few young ladies. Maybe it's because we had all the guys.
Well, there's
That's
all the
what it
guys in
was.
there. You run them off.
I don't know that I even knew a girl by name in the community until I was 15, 16, something like that.
Wow.
Well,
But all the guys
We
would,
used to hang around with the girls.
all the guys would come to the house and play basketball at the basketball court, or football, or baseball in the field or the yard, or we had a pool table in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Played a billiard table.
Okay.
A billiard table in the basement.
Billiard table.
So I had to do that in the wintertime. But yeah, it was kind of strange. Even at church, I mean, when I grew up, way after he did,
yeah.
at church we had almost all boys except for Lisa Story. Lisa Lane Story was the only poor girl.
Wow.
In our youth group growing up. It was a bunch of guys and poor Lisa. But
And she was tougher than
survived.
nails, wasn't
And
she?
she still is. But, yeah, it was interesting.
Oh man.
I remember so like I said, I grew up way after he did. But some of my best memories are, as he said, the church was kind of the thing in the community center, it's where the people gathered. And Sunday afternoons, the guys at church would come down to the house. Mom would fix dinner, lunch for us, and we'd play ball in the yard, baseball, basketball, and the basketball court, football. Football was the most interesting because you guys know Jeff Lane at church.
Yeah.
Right?
oh yeah.
So we chose teams. Whoever had Jeff always won
Wow.
because nobody could tackle him.
It was pancaking y'all.
Yeah, it was like if we flipped a coin by two captains, whoever got the first pick, the game was already over. Because whoever had Jeff, we just ran over us.
Wow.
Good.
But we weren't smart enough to figure that out. We still played and got
So
beat
basically, whoever won the coin toss got Jeff.
and won the game. That's just how it went. But we finally graduated from football into other sports. It was a little more even, but still, it was kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Playing football in the hayfield, the cow pasture was interesting because you had to be careful where you got tackled.
Oh Lord.
That would have made it fun.
Yeah, some of those places weren't great to be tackled in. We played in that field in front of the church there. It's still a hayfield, but
I bet you would have killed to have that gymnasium at the church grounds
Oh,
to play
yeah.
basketball in
Fellowship
back
hall.
then, huh? The fellowship hall, yeah.
we even went so far as in the wintertime we wanted to play basketball because I played 1 year professional basketball. That was 7th grade, and that was it. But basketball was pretty important in the winter. You practiced a little bit and stuff, but we wanted to play so bad on the paved court that Michael talked about. Was we would, if it snowed, we would go out in the road and pick up handfuls of salt that the county put down to melt the
Smelled it
road
out.
and bring it back and build off our basketball court so we could play.
Wow.
And it
Wow.
worked. It melted the court and we could play. And of course we froze to death, but we didn't care. We played anyway. But the problem was, what salt does to asphalt.
Yeah.
Daddy wasn't real happy.
Oh, man.
Eat it up.
And salt ain't gonna have no mercy on asphalt or concrete. I
No.
tell you.
We couldn't afford concrete. We had asphalt, but now we've got asphalt with like holes in it where the salt ate through it. But it worked. It melted the ice on the basketball court
And the
so we
road.
could play.
Melted the ice and the road.
Yep.
Well, the fellowship hall brought up a kind of an idea that I kind of wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about tonight. Obviously, the idea there was differences. Sometimes in little bitty communities like Embreeville, there isn't a lot of rapid advancement. There's not a lot of change. But can you formulate what kind of differences that you can remember between the Embreeville community of the 50s, 60s, and 70s as compared to today? What maybe changes have you seen?
That sounds like an old person question.
I haven't really thought much about that, Matt, to be honest with you. But
I think the change I saw was, and of course, Mom told us stories that she would, at times before the church started in 1949.
49.
So before that, she would walk from across the road from the church over to the Methodist church, I believe.
Okay.
And so it's like a mile or so.
Wow.
And so transportation was hard to come by back then. So the church really started out as a community church. And, in 1949, folks from up the road toward Irwin and up behind your house in Deacons Creek, and it was really a community church, but it was a small church. What I think has really changed over the years is, and of course it comes with society, is that, we're not really a community church anymore, which is kind of sad in a way, but our reach goes to Greenwood Drive and down to Limestone Chucky and to Boones Creek and Unicoi and down toward Greenville and Telford. And so we've been able to expand because people don't care to drive to come worship with us.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even in general though, like road traffic, I imagine that's one of the changes that you've seen. Is 81 gotten?
Oh yeah. 81 has gotten a lot busier. I mean, I had puppy dogs growing up, but my puppy dogs didn't last long because they got out on the road a lot.
Yeah.
About 6 months was about the end of our puppy dog life. And amazingly, the dogs always wandered off somewhere and never came back, but I finally figured out what happened to them. But we did have a dog that went to church a lot.
It was Roscoe.
Oh,
Roscoe was ugly.
A bulldog.
He was half bulldog and half boxer. So you can imagine what he looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ian, big and and
Are you saying Ian is
just
very attractive?
muscular.
Bretland will probably hit you for that.
She might agree.
Ian,
I don't know.
Sorry, he was big and muscular and
Yeah, I got you.
a
I
heavy
got
duty bulldozer kind of a dog. Little pointy ears. I'm sorry.
Just keep going. Just
I'm
keep
an ugly
going.
bulldog.
I got a
Time for a commercial break.
He had a little stump tail.
a pen and paper over here.
Anyway, Roscoe was
Mike, I'm waiting for my turn. Mike's come on here to tear everybody up.
Roscoe was
Started with me, and now he's on to Ian. I'm glad he's off me for a change.
Hey,
Roscoe was a very religious dog.
He was. Never missed a service.
He went everywhere I went, and I went everywhere he went. So there was these two guys at church who were leaders in our church at the time, Steve Story and Preston Story. And Steve was a deacon, and Preston was an elder. Preston is Richard Story's dad.
It was.
It was. But they were always at the church, along with my grandpa. My grandpa was an elder too. But there was, during
My
the week,
grandpa too, by the way.
he was his grandpa. They were always at the church doing something.
Yeah.
Not just Sunday and Wednesday, for worship services and Bible study, but they were there repairing and cleaning and mowing the lawn and just generally doing whatever needed to be done around the church. And I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old at
Long
the time.
before I was born.
Long before he was around. And that was my first introduction, I guess. I went to church, I went to Bible school, I grew up in church. But I learned church, how to work around the church, how to serve from watching those three guys.
wow.
When I got a little older, they would take me visiting with them. We'd go to the hospital and visit somebody that was sick, and I watched them pray for people, and that's how I learned.
Yeah. That's the best way to learn.
We, I watched them anoint people with oil. Watched them baptize people. We baptized people in the river, in the creek, in swimming pool. Church had a little portable baptistry, kind of like an old army cot kind of construction. It was wood frame and it had a canvas for the water. But we would take it to people's houses when they were in a situation where they couldn't get out.
Yeah.
It's like an elderly person or somebody that was sickly. And I got to help with that. So that's how I learned to do church.
Mm-hmm.
Roscoe helped you.
Roscoe was always there. I mean, he would lay on the front steps of the church all during church services, and anytime I was over there, he was always on those steps.
Waiting on you to get out.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
He was the most faithful member we had. He didn't miss anything that went on at church.
He did better crossing the road than the other dogs did. Yeah. He looked both ways. And
Well, because he was saved.
that's right.
I can't think of one dog that I've ever heard of that would do something like that.
Oh, he was there. Even I remember later, much later, he was still around. He went every time the doors were open. Roscoe was there.
That's true.
Wow.
And Preston Betty Ann came. Betty Ann came one time by herself, and Roscoe wouldn't let her out of the car. I heard that story. She was afraid to get out, afraid he would attack her, but he wouldn't bite a piece of bread.
He's making sure she's coming.
But yeah,
That is great. That's great.
the old church sat kind of where the west side parking lot, I guess, is. Mm-hmm. And it had steps that led down to the front toward the road, right across the road from the little White House. The little White House where we grew up was where the church actually started. It's kind of the first meeting and first assembly of the church was on the front porch of the little White House.
Wow. Well, that's relationships like that's what makes us church strong. Good, solid foundation. Started with a purpose.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And seeing how it's progressed now,
Yeah.
pretty good size.
Relationships are very important, as you guys all know, but that really forms the backbone of the church. And like I said, it started out with a few men that saw a need in a community, and it was really for the community. And then those relationships blossomed from people we knew at school or people we knew at work or whatever, and then the church kind of grew from there, which is probably a similar story to other churches. But it was neat to see how the church grew from just a small community church to what it is today.
And the building is beautiful. I mean, your building now is just absolutely beautiful.
A lot of really good master craftsmen built that church. You can just tell.
Those arch pillars are just.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I look at every Sunday. I'm like, man, they're just beautiful. The
Beautiful, yeah.
Trim work's beautiful. Took a lot of thought.
It was designed and built by the guys in the church. They did all the labor. Well, except for a few specialty items, they did not lay the brick.
Yeah.
Or put up the big beams that you're talking about. But other than that,
But the wood was donated from local farm or no?
I don't remember. Do you remember?
I don't remember that.
I might be making that up. I just thought I remembered someone telling me that that those were donated from someone's farm.
A lot of people did donate. People in the congregation, besides giving money, they donated supplies and materials.
I mean, even the ceiling is similar to that. There's some of it stacked up over there, the tongue and groove.
It's
Yeah.
Wow, just absolutely beautiful. And it's got like a polyurethane coating on it and just absolutely makes. I love natural wood grain. I think that's just so beautiful. I don't really like people painting wood. I think wood is naturally beautiful. I mean, even these slats that go across and stuff, I think they just look, I just love the way wood grain looks. So when people emphasize that as like the theme and pairing with the carpet.
Unless it's paneling.
Yeah.
I
paneling's.
paint your paneling, man.
Paint the paneling.
21st century, paint the paneling.
I agree. Do a good coat of, what's that stuff called?
Kills.
Yeah. Put you a good couple coats of kills on it. Got a phone ring. Is that mine?
All kind of first things are happening tonight.
I know.
We've never had that happen. Now, Terry did get a reminder
Terry
to
got
take
a
his
reminder.
medicine.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my grandpa. The little block building that's down there at the corner of Deacons Creek Road was the community store and gas station. My grandpa, I keep saying my grandpa. He's your grandpa too.
Just want to make sure we were aware of that.
You may have been adopted, you know.
You may be on
They
to
look way too much alike, though.
I was.
You hurt one of our feelings.
I was the only child. You got to look at it from my perspective. I was the only child in the family and the only grandchild in the family for 10 years. So it's.
And then what came along? It
Yeah,
ruined his whole life, apparently.
he turned it upside down. That's for sure.
There's going to be a second episode of this that's retaliation for him.
If you invite me back, I'll tell a few stories on him.
We won't bring
We
him.
won't have time.
We'll separate the episodes next time.
I remember my grandpa.
Your grandpa. That's the word,
Yes,
yeah.
I remember our grandpa when I was about 10, maybe something like that. I was too big to sit on his lap, but he was sitting in his big chair one time, and he asked me to come over and sit in the chair with him, and I did. and he started talking about, I'm getting old and I'm not able to do what I used to do in the church. And he said, I want you to take my place in the church someday. And I had absolutely no idea what he was talking about at the time. But I think what he was talking about was becoming a leader in the church.
Yeah.
And I did eventually. Ordained as a deacon when I was in my 30s probably. And then as an elder in my early 50s, somewhere along there, late 40s, early 50s. But there was a time, growing up, back to growing up in the community with all those boys. Boys will be boys, and boys, aren't always making the right decisions and the right choices.
Like not letting your little brother ride home with you. It's one of those.
I remember well when the guys started experimenting with smoking and drinking, and later marijuana. It was the middle to late 60s, and the Vietnam War was going on, and there was, all these anti-war demonstrations going on and that sort of thing. Especially when I got in college, it was different. It was strange. But the boys, the old gang of boys that I grew up with, some of them got into some trouble. They really did. We all went to church when we were kids, but gradually faded away. And even me, I was fortunate enough not to get involved in some of the drinking and drugs and stuff like that, although I was around it. I remember well, we camped out all the time in the summertime. We hardly ever slept in our bed. We'd sit around a big campfire, and the boys would drag out cigarettes and a big bottle of brown quart jar of Budweiser. That's what it was. And I remember being so hurt and disappointed at what was going on. And later when they got into marijuana, it was such a foreign idea, I think. And I think because I had grown up in church and because I had taken it seriously, and I could see what it was doing to them, they completely changed their personality. They were different people. They got, some of them got real brave, and would climb to the top of trees and want to jump out, or climb up on the cliff at the river and want to dive in the water. And I was sort of sane enough, and I wanted to protect them. I wanted to keep them from getting hurt. And I was the designated driver. But I didn't get involved in those things because I saw what it was doing to them. It was just ruining their life. And some of them, even today, have ruined their lives because of that.
Wow.
Plus, Daddy and Mama would have beat the tar out of it.
That's true. They may not have beat the tar out of us, but I was concerned they would, for sure. But anyway, there was a period of time when I was an older teenager and during my 20s that I wasn't that close to God. I'd grown up in church, had a good foundation, but my religion, I've said this before, and I don't know that I ever explained it very well, but my religion, my faith was my grandfather's faith and my dad and mom's faith. It wasn't mine.
Wow.
And I didn't really have a relationship with Christ, I think, until I got married. And when I got married, we were 21. We had to wait till we were 21 to get married because we didn't want to get mom and dad's have to get their
Yep.
signature on a piece of paper in those days. And then 5 years later or so, Robbie came along. We had a little boy, and the weight of that responsibility really set in. You know, I'm married now. I've got to grow up. I've got responsibilities from my wife, from my family. Got to raise this little boy and try to do it right. And that's when I really got back involved in church and really had what I would call a personal relationship with Christ.
Wow.
It was interesting. You talked about our grandfather, who was one of the folks that started the church. But I remember him, and like you said, Steve and Preston, and later Jack Masters and those guys, and the example that they set for all of us. Even I was a little guy, and I'm similar to you. I think I was baptized when I was about 4th grade, and I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know what all it meant. And then going through the next, few years up to high school, I attended church, but I'm not sure if I had a relationship with Christ either. But I started going to church camp when I was like 8th grade, I guess. I went to the junior high week, and then at Appalachian Camp ACC, and went to senior high camp and absolutely loved it. And that was and we had some folks that later became our ministers that were counselors up there. Charlie Fitzsimmons and Tommy Smith were some of those guys that served our church as minister. Charles did 2 terms. But they really modeled for us that Christians can have fun and you can have a relationship. It's not about rules, it was an eye-opener, because when you're younger, you're taught about right and wrong, and everything's kind of rule-based.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but kind of almost legalistic. And finally, you grow to understand that that's not what it's all about. It's about relationship with Christ and loving and serving other people. But you can do that and have fun too.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of learned that, and that's what really flipped the switch for me. And I love church camp so much, I went for longer than I was supposed to. So the church camp application was for high school, and it said, what grade are you going into? So I put, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. The next year I put freshman again, because I was a freshman in college. I didn't put college, I just put freshman. And so I went for my 5th year, and then I went for my 6th year when I was a sophomore. And
College.
in college, they finally said, if you're going to come back, you got to be a counselor. You're getting too old for this. So I finally did that too. But that's what really kind of flipped the switch for me. I mean, we had the foundation that our grandfather and grandmother and parents set, but it was, I won't say external influences, but it was the church camp influence really, and some people that I was very close to and became close to that helped, I guess, make things real for me. So I'm a big proponent of church camp, big proponent of relationships, and we're a hugging church, as you see, showing love, hugging, shaking hands, meeting people where they are, praying for people. We're not real, rigid. We're adaptable.
Legalistic.
Yeah, legalistic. I guess that's the right word.
Very family oriented. I mean,
Yeah.
well, most people are kin somehow, aren't they?
Yeah,
too?
be careful who you talk about. 'Cause, you mentioned the early church being built, though. The church built the building we're in now in the late 70s, early 80s, I think. And we were very fortunate that we had men who had some skills and talent, and we did that. And when we got through, we were completely debt-free. We didn't borrow a penny.
That's amazing.
It is. And like he said, we had people that were craftsmen and were able to, and the church was a little smaller than it is now. And then we kept growing, and we decided, we built the fellowship hall, I think the mid-'80s probably. And then the mid-'90s came along, and we continued to grow, and we decided to have a remodel to the church, and we added on to it, added a bay and the wings on the side, and added some Sunday school rooms on both sides, and then turned the church around because we didn't want to build closer to the road, because they were always talking about widening the road, and we were afraid we'd lose part of what we built. So we actually had to build back towards your house. And then by doing that, we turned the sanctuary around where now you enter from the back instead of the front. But again, same kind of thing. We were able to do that with funds that the church provided. We had, building fund campaigns in addition to our regular offerings. And people pitched in every Saturday and sometimes during the week at night. And a couple, 3 years, we built it and we were debt-free again.
Amazing.
So we were very, very, very fortunate.
And that's the cool thing about the Embreeville church is that when there's a need, there's always a group of people that jump in and fill that need.
Oh, yeah.
You saw that during the flood.
Oh, yeah.
Last year.
That was amazing.
I want to get to that, and let's get to that in just a minute. I just wanted to, before we switch into that, because I would like to talk the flood a little bit. But Pat, I wanted to fast forward just a few years into your 30s because you're talking about building these relationships. And the one thing, and I think you two can relate to this, I love your Sunday school class. And it's very
great teacher,
wonderful teacher,
wonderful teacher.
But what I love about it is if you go back to, I guess you're probably your early 30s in the 90s or so, a lot of these guys that are in your class now were young, and there's all these stories, man. Like I love hearing about some of the stories of travel that you did with some of the younger guys there and pouring into them. Can you just share a little bit about like what that time of your life was like? I assume you were just early getting married, and there was probably a lot going on.
There was. I got married later in life. I was 31 before I got married, so took me a while to figure things out, I guess. But starting probably when I was about 25, or maybe before that, I told you I went to church camp too long, so I loved to be around people. And then started. I wasn't a youth minister or youth director, but I guess you'd call me a youth sponsor. But wound up hanging out with those guys. Started teaching my first Sunday school class was really probably the late 80s, I guess. And I taught a couple of classes. One of them was kind of the folks that were my age because we went through a spell, I guess that's the right word, spell, in the mid-1980s where we had 4 or 5 really prominent young couples in our church that got divorced. Mm-hmm. And that was really hard on our church because we had never even been around divorce before. I mean, we couldn't even spell it. And those people were deacons and Sunday school teachers and the like. And it really hit our church hard. And one of the teachers was the one who taught my age group. So I wound up doing that. But right after that, I started working with the junior high guys as well, and especially on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights. And those were people, we were very fortunate at that time that those families were kids whose parents were very well grounded and very plugged into the church. It was elders' kids and deacons' kids and Sunday school teachers' kids and youth sponsors' kids and all that, and they were there all the time. And we just developed this bond, and we did a lot of things together. We started some, like Wednesday night, we would do Destination Unknowns. We'd come to church and we'd get in the van and go somewhere for a devotion, or we'd go eat, or we'd go bowling, or whatever we could do, and come back in an hour and a half. And Irwin used to have a bowling alley, by the way.
Oh man,
believe it or not.
Why did they take all the cool stuff away?
We can't have nice things. but we probably got in trouble because we broke the rules that you have to stay at church all the time. So we ventured out and did some things, and the group kind of grew. But the thing was, those guys were really faithful. And part of it was because their parents were, but part of it because they liked it and they loved it and they loved the relationships. And it was people like Aaron. Aaron's dad came to be our minister in 90, I think, ish.
Somewhere around there.
Aaron was in junior high. Remember the first day he walked in, he was, Aaron was not happy to be there, but it didn't take him long to figure it out. It was Aaron, and it was Heather Cash, who's now Heather Mulligan, Aaron's wife, and it was Scotty Phillips and Heather Dennis, and Amanda Parker and Alicia Parker, Amanda Cash now, Odell Cash, Robbie, all those folks, and I'm leaving some, Rachel White, who's now Rachel Clement, and I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but those guys were always there, and we just developed this bond, and unfortunately for them, as they've gotten older, their Sunday school teacher has stayed with them. They can't ever escape me. So I've taught those guys since 1990, probably.
Wow. That's awesome, though.
And they've not yet figured out how to leave and go to somebody else's class.
They keep
But
changing the name of the class.
we do whatever we were.
So they see at the beginning of the year a class to sign up for, and they don't realize
That's
that
it.
you've just changed the name.
Yeah, we hid the teacher from, so it was junior high, then it was senior high, then it was college age, then it was career. I don't know what we are now. Young
What
couples.
what is our class name?
I don't think we have one.
Okay.
But you can think of one. That's be a good
Yeah.
thing for you. But we just had that bond. We used to have youth retreats every year. We'd go over to North Carolina to Springmaid Mountain and spend a weekend and just do a lot of things together. And like I said, it's about relationships. And those guys developed those relationships, and those folks are really, really close still today. And
You can see just the connection.
I know.
Between like all the folks you mentioned. I'm not going to rename them. The connection with yourself and the connection together. And, you know, I'll tell just a brief story. Last night at the Super Bowl party, one of the youth group students whose mother was, you know, one of the youth group students then, you know, ended up, they were roughhousing, ended up knocking one of the pictures, not fully off the wall, and you know, Scotty had said something, and it's just amazing to see the chemistry between this person and Scotty and just how it, you know, they love each other, you know, even though, you know, there was a little bit of discipline there between Scotty and the youth group kid right in front of the parent, but it's all love because they've grown up together, they love each other, and they have that relationship that's unbreakable. Like we sing that song in church, bind us together with chains or cords that cannot be broken. And I can see that in that group that you're talking about with yourself. And it's really cool. I mean, I kind of feel like I don't feel like an outsider in our class because I think that those relationships with you guys and me in our class, we're kind of the next generation of that right now. But and those relationships will continue to grow and mold. But it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see the community that's been built within that age group and in yourself and with each other.
We voted on you. We debated you quite a bit whether we'd let you in or not. But
I'm a Gator fan.
yeah, that and you're from Florida. We really struggle. It wasn't really it was a pretty tight vote. But we broke a few rules and decided to let you come in anyway.
I appreciate it.
We didn't have any issues with Blake or Ian. We let them come on in. But no, we've really enjoyed new blood as well as old blood.
Yeah.
I think you guys have melded in really good, and we have a good time. And you guys are always well behaved in class, and you treat your teacher with respect and never
You give us candy.
Don't throw candy at him.
Yeah, you give us candy
give
and
you
hot
candy.
chocolate and coffee.
And coffee.
But we enjoy worshiping together and doing Bible study together. But it just goes back to relationships. You just can't overstate the value of relationships.
I'll tell you, you say that, Ian, but like I almost feel a special connection when I walk in there and get one of those Laffy Taffies. And you'll laugh because when I was growing up and going to church, and you all know I've been very open. You know, I was a hyperactive young child, and sitting still in church was probably about like Langston sitting still in church. It was a chore for my parents and my grandparents. But when my dad was first preaching at this little bitty church, the Williston Church of Christ, I would often ride with my gram to church, and she'd stop at the little gas station, and we'd get to pick out 3 pieces of Laffy Taffy. And every time I'd sit in the pew and I'd eat a pink Laffy Taffy, a red Laffy Taffy, and a blue Laffy Taffy. And every time I will go into your class, if I get candy, I get a piece of Laffy Taffy. And as I'm eating it, it's very nostalgic. It kind of brings me back to those memories. So
Your
it's
childhood.
fun fact, you never know what something like just a jar of candy does to someone.
You mean you're not paying attention to what I'm saying?
He's in La La Land.
I'm in La La Land with the Laffy Taffy.
But, emphasize the importance of inviting someone to Sunday school. I mean, when I come to church with Ian there, we got done with service and was getting, got all my stuff, and Ian was going out the front, beside the stage, and I was like, what are we doing? We getting Langston? He said, no, we're going to Sunday school. And Bree's like, are we going to Sunday school? And I looked at her, I said, I guess we're going to Sunday school. So
You can't tell Ian no.
You didn't,
No, I
you
mean,
didn't have a choice.
didn't have a
There you
choice.
go.
I didn't have anywhere else to be besides lunch, and it can wait, I guess.
Barbaritos, yeah. But
Can't say no to that face.
That's exactly right.
Can't say no to Ian. He'll get you to do something.
Two more little stories, I guess, of of church gone by that I think were very important to the, fabric of our church. We used to have in the old church, before we had the fellowship hall, we would still have homecoming and fellowship meals and that kind of thing, and we always had them across the street in the yard of the White House.
Under the big tree.
Under the big tree. Now, crossing that road probably wasn't the very smartest thing we ever did, but it was cool that we could, and we had probably 40, 50, 60, 70 people.
There wasn't much traffic in those days.
There wasn't as much, but everybody would carry their food over there, and we brought tables over there and chairs, and we just had a big time in the afternoon and enjoyed being together and God's creation. And under that big tree, that was the place.
Wow.
We had another one of the deacons that lived down on 107, and he raised rabbits. Bill Pate, you remember Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was eating with Bill at the table during one of those fellowship meals, and I was chowing down on the most wonderful chicken salad you ever ate. It was delicious. And I commented on, boy, this is good chicken salad. Bill said, you like that? And I said, yeah, that's great. He said, it's not chicken.
Oh, no.
It's rabbit.
A rabbit salad.
It got bigger and bigger and more I chewed on it, so I just sort of put my sandwich back on the plate.
We had
I had chicken salad for lunch today.
Really?
Maybe.
Are you sure?
Maybe.
I hope, unless Chicken Salad Chick is putting rabbit in their chicken salad.
Man.
So I'll tell you one story about one of those homecoming days. So, like I said, the boys used to they'd come to my house. Excuse me. It was my house. It wasn't your house then. So you'd already moved
Which
on.
house are we talking about?
The brick house.
Okay.
So anyway, they'd hang out with me. But when I was really little, and I really don't remember this, but allegedly it happened, and I guess he was an eyewitness, so we'll see if he believes it or not. But Richard Story, you guys know Richard at church. Richard was between us, and he and Michael were good friends, and I think he liked me, even though Michael didn't really like me. But they would come out on Sunday afternoons and hang out, and then, of course, we'd go back to church on Sunday night. But allegedly, we after one of those meals, he and Michael and I went down behind the barn, and we're walking around the farm, and there's a creek. Used to be, I guess the flood took care of that, but a creek would kind of bisect the farm. And we had one place that was a little wider, about, 8 or 10 feet wide.
It's a swimming hole.
Yeah, it's probably, 4 feet deep or so, maybe a little more.
It's more than that. It's probably 5.
Okay, 5 feet deep, which is pretty deep when you're, I guess, 1 foot tall or however tall. I think I must have been 3 or 4. I really don't remember it. Allegedly, Richard squatted down to look in the creek. And supposedly somebody walked up behind him and pushed him in.
That somebody was Pat.
He said it was me. I really don't remember it, but now that I know Richard and have known him for a while, if I'd have known what I was doing, I would definitely have done it. But I don't remember it.
No regrets.
No.
Richard was just off balance enough, sitting there on his toes, looking over in the creek, and
Yeah.
Pat just caught him at the wrong time.
Supposedly, I think it might have been you, but you actually dove in and saved him. I
Church
think.
clothes,
Yeah.
everything.
So Richard
Wallet.
told me I was an attempted murderer for several times. And he told everybody that worked that I was trying to take his life a time or two. But I really don't remember it. But it must have happened on one of those Sundays. But we had a good time.
It's all coming together now,
I was mistreated when I guess I had to do something to get attention. I don't know, but years later, after my failed professional basketball career of 7th grade went south on me, we still played ball all the time, even though I wasn't any good. And then we started playing softball. And we started a church softball team, and we played church basketball in the winter and softball in the summer. And that really helped our church a lot because some of the guys from the community played with us, and it was guys at church. And then we had friends that we knew in the community that didn't go to our church who decided, well, gosh, I'll come play ball with you guys. And then they started coming to church and became elders and deacons and Sunday school teachers. And so we were able to grow the church through sports, and families came, but we had a lot of fun, especially the basketball area. We played locally, but the softball team, we wound up traveling to Nashville and Atlanta and Washington, D.C. and Clearwater, Florida. We had a pretty good little team for our little church. And the way I've described my talents were, the older I get, the better I used to be. But we apparently were okay. We had a lot of fun. And then developed a lot of relationships,
Never heard
and
that.
memories, but it really helped grow the church as well too. Terry Tittle came to church through sports.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Rick Googe, Michael Bales, who doesn't worship with us anymore, but several folks came because a friend of a friend said, "Hey, let's go play ball."
Yeah.
And started bringing their wife, and kids grew up in the church, and it was really a big part of it's relationships, and some of those memories and good times that you talked about. They stay with you.
So cool.
Good. So I guess I was at ECC almost 2 years, or maybe a little over 2 years, I don't know, and when Helene came through and the flood took place. And from an outsider to the community, it was heartbreaking for me. But I can only imagine the heartbreak that you two felt. And I will just add a caveat. I think you held your composure together really well, the both of you, as leaders in our community and leaders in our church. I want to ask you a question, and I want you to ponder on it while I give my answer, or while I talk for just a moment. But I want to ask you, and it is a little bit of probably like somewhat of an intimate question, so just ponder on it. But the question is what does ECC mean to you? And after you answer that, I just want you to talk a little bit about what it was like to witness the flood. For me personally, I remember coming into the community, and the first day I went up Bumpus Cove, and I'm going up Bumpus Cove, and I got to the very end, and there was a tractor in front of me, a front end loader, and he was lifting debris, trying to scoop that road out. And they stopped me, and I couldn't go any further. But there was a woman, and she was standing at the edge of the property, and she was basically crouched down like a baseball catcher, and she was bawling. And I stopped and I talked with her, and she had lost her home and her property, and told me, "I just don't know what we're going to do." And I went home that night and I wrote a song called "The Flood," and I sang it at church. But in verse 2, I wrote, "I saw the pain. I see the pain in their eyes, the tears that won't end, but through the brokenness, your love will mend." And I think that I saw not only you all's leadership, the love that you displayed to jump in and help a community that I know you love, but that love really has mended our community through people serving and helping build us back. And so I don't necessarily mind which one of you starts, but if you don't care, maybe just share a little bit about that.
I'll take a crack at it. That's certainly not the first flood we had seen. In my lifetime, the river has flooded half a dozen times probably. Nothing that significant, nothing that severe that took lives or property. So this was a big one, and it really washed people's lives away, literally. I mean, their entire homes, their livelihood, their property. There was hardly anybody on the lower side of the highway in our community that didn't lose something, if not everything. So it was the first time, I guess, I had seen our community in that much need. Right. I mean, we're not rich by any means. We're not a wealthy community, but people had nice homes, and they had, a good livelihood, and they had what they needed to live comfortably. But not after that flood. I mean, it just took everything. And I guess what ECC means to me in regard to that situation is meeting people's needs. Jesus always met people where they were, and met their physical needs and their material needs before he started, telling them about his Father and introducing them to the, what he saw as his church here on this earth. He didn't go right into preaching the gospel to them and trying to convert them. He didn't work on spiritual needs until he met their physical needs, and that's what I saw in our church during this flood. Is there was so much need because of so much devastation, and the church and other churches throughout the area and even distant up in Virginia and the Midwest and other places reached out, but they helped us meet people's needs, meet them where they were.
Yeah, I agree. So Embreeville was my home until I was, 37, I guess. So my mom grew up in Embreeville. Our mom grew up in Embreeville, and our dad grew up in New Victory, which is where I live now. So I moved from the big metropolis of Embreeville to the big metropolis of New Victory in 1998. But so I've kind of spent time in both those areas, but Embreeville's always been home because that's where our farm was. That's where we grew up. That's where the church is. And nothing against New Victory. I love the people down there too. Most of those guys and ladies that were there when I moved down there were Dad's contemporaries, and got to know them. And of course, they've all gone on now. But the community and the church, even though the church is not necessarily a community church only anymore, it's still kind of one and the same. And I used to ride the school bus all through there, and up in the Deacons Creek Holler and over in Bumpus Cove, and I knew all those nooks and crannies. And that's one funny story too. Talk about our first car. The first vehicle I ever drove was my dad's old pickup truck, was our farm truck, and I really wanted to drive it to school when I was 16. Mom and Dad's rule was I couldn't drive it to school unless I missed the bus. Well, the problem was the bus went by my house twice. It went up to the county line, and he always blew his horn.
You had to miss it twice.
And he came back down. I had to miss it twice in order to drive the Dad's truck to school. So I did a couple of times. I was pretty successful, but not very often. But anyway, so I knew the community really well, and I knew, like we said, the guys that played ball with us. I'd go out back at the basketball court and bounce a basketball 4 or 5 times, and the boys would just come. We'd come start playing ball. But I had been out of the community for, 25 years almost or so when the flood happened. But as we drove around the community there in the days after the flood, taking food and taking water and knocking on doors to see how people were, I recognized a lot of faces. And some people were new that had moved in, but a lot of people were people that I remembered and people that I knew that I grew up with. And you're right, even up in the problem on the, I guess that's the south side of the road, was the water and the flood, and they lost houses and lives, which was completely different than the previous ones. The problem on the other side of the road was no power, no water, no, amenities. We had no power and water for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, I guess.
3 weeks, yeah.
So those people were still in need, and the Fellowship Hall Distribution Center came in and helped out. And of course, we took food and delivered it, but you're right. Jesus always met physical needs first and made sure that they were receptive to the gospel. And I think that's what the church is supposed to do. I think we're supposed to meet people where they are and build those relationships, and then model for them what a relationship with Jesus is all about. And they can see one of my favorite church signs, my first or second favorite church sign, is preach the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what our church did. Absolutely. And people pitched in, not just from our church, but from the community and from, like you said, from Ohio and Pennsylvania and Virginia and all kinds of places. We got financial donations from Indiana and Colorado and Florida and all across the country. And people just pitched in and met needs wherever they were.
Which, when you add all up, tell us a little bit about your brief overview on Sunday about the overall impact. Like you said, we had Mennonite, the German Baptists, Amish, different people, but like all together with the Fellowship Hall and everything, it was roughly $2 million. Probably
around $2 million of impact of people that had some connection to our church. Our church has helped financially to the tune of over $150,000 of donations that were given to our church only. But those donations, in concert with other groups like Appalachian Service Project and the CARE organization, the Amish folks out of Pennsylvania, And people that we helped house for while they were building on other folks' houses in the community or whatever was probably around $2 million over
amazing.
the last 16 months or however long it was. The interesting thing was too, it was, and I don't want to downplay people that lost their homes or certainly people that lost their lives, but if you look around the community today, there are a lot of folks that are in a better place than they were then.
Yeah,
And,
no, that's
have
true.
a better living arrangement.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And just it God worked it out for the good when their house was about to fall in, and now they got a new house. And you can't replace people, but you can
Reliable
replace
transportation.
Reliable transportation is another one. People that lost their vehicles and now have something that will take them to where they need to be. And it was sad to see our family farm piled up with 4 feet of sand and a bunch of river rocks, but farms can eventually replace themselves and the soil will come back and we'll grow crops and all that. But
Are they working on a little of that now? I've been seeing them out there.
But yeah, people, it was a blessing to me to see that people, and it's interesting that God's people from everywhere stepped up when there was a need, and those people provided homes for a lot of people that were in need, and maybe they wouldn't have been able to do that except for the flood. I mean, they would have kind of gone under the radar, and those arrangements may not have been made.
Matt, the Sunday after the flood, the flood was on, Friday and Saturday?
Friday and
I guess
Saturday.
primarily.
Yeah.
But the Sunday after the flood, obviously we didn't have services, but we had a prayer service, if you remember, and your dad was there. And I remember his prayer, and something that he said has stuck with me for a couple of years here. And he talked about the fact that, don't despair and don't give up hope, because God will show up, and God showed up.
Amen.
In a real way in our community and in the lives of people.
He's been so good, so gracious to this community and to our church.
And the second Sunday, when we actually had the service out in the picnic shed, we had like 130 some people out there. No power, no water, but we wanted to get together and worship, and people came. And some of the folks that helped us from other areas have commented they watched that service online.
Yeah.
Some of our friends in Chattanooga that came and brought some of the goods for the fellowship hall and also gave us some funds, commented that they watched that, and other folks did too, and what a blessing it was to them.
Absolutely. Well, fellas, we are, believe it or not, I don't know if it's going to seem like this to you, but we are at our hour and 20-minute mark right now. It has flown by, hyperspeed.
Really fast.
This is one of the greatest episodes. There's still so much to cover, and I look forward. I mean, you guys were so great. Look forward to an episode with Mike and an episode with Pat. We wanted to have you on as a duo. I kind of see you two a lot like I see you two. You guys are a duo, and you guys are a duo, kind of. But I really look forward. Can't wait for the next one. Did you guys have any other big things that you really wanted to talk about? That, because we can go to an hour 30 if we need to.
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
I think it was a great episode, man.
It wouldn't have been so long, except Ian just talks so much.
I know, I'm a big talker.
Well, I really do appreciate you guys taking the time, and man, what a wonderful episode. Embreeville really means the world to me and my family. It has been a major restoration for our family, and you guys have treated us like family, and I love to see what our church is doing, not only for our community, but like the Big C Church, the global church. I love to see that our church, and a lot of this is driven from you two's leadership, but a care. I really liked that 17% of our budget that you mentioned is going to mission, to foreign. Was it just foreign?
Missions and
just
benevolence.
missions and benevolence. So, it means the world to me, and you two both mean the world to me and my family as well. So thank you again for being on. And we usually have our guests, or many of our guests anyway, have prayed us out, and I think it would be appropriate. I'll let you two rock, paper, scissors over that, or
Go for it.
He's older. I guess he gets to give orders. So, Heavenly Father, thank you for this time we have together. I thank you for these men in this room and the folks on this side of the camera, as well as Dawson, and the love that they have for you, the love that they have for each other, the love that they have for your church. And I pray that this time we shared together tonight can be a shining light or an uplift of some sort to someone who would watch it, and somebody that needs to hear that there are people out there that will put their arms around you and love you and model a relationship with Christ for you, no matter where you are, what kind of situation you find yourself in. And that's what I would hope that they hear from what we've done tonight. And I think that we have this opportunity, and I pray that you will use this time in a way that benefits others and brings you glory. And I thank you for the efforts that go into providing this. And I just pray that you will bless our time together and bless whoever would watch this, that your name would be lifted up. And thank you for all the blessings that you've given to us. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.